In this video, we are going to learn how to learn. So, when you're thinking about yourself and you want to go learn something new or you need to learn something, how do you go about it? My guess is you probably use the internet to some degree, maybe asking other people for help. Do you go to YouTube? Do you go to forums online? Do you use now things like AI, like ChatGPT? You probably use all of the above. I've never considered myself very mechanically inclined, but a few years ago I needed to replace an axle on one of my cars. When I was Googling how expensive that would be, I was like, oh boy, that's more than I want to spend. But discovered I could buy the part for like 80 bucks. Um, After watching numerous YouTube videos, I was able to change an axle on my car. Turns out it's not that hard, but when you're able to watch somebody online, right, and use resources like that, it can change everything. That's partly why we're doing the format of this class the way we are, where you watch these videos, then come to class and work on stuff. So one of my hopes in this class is that you're not just going to learn some basics about data management and data analysis. Yes, we're going to learn those things. But as like a secondary benefit, I'm hoping to increase your ability or your willingness or your skills to turn to available resources and use those to help you learn and help you grow and figure things out. Um, Thankfully, when it comes to using R and the things we're going to use, there are a ton of resources online. There are so many R users worldwide. Chances are, whatever you're trying to figure out, somebody has asked that question before. So in past semesters, I've really stressed the use of using Google. Um, and admittedly, there are going to be times when you're going to be pretty annoyed with us because they'll say, well, have you Googled that right? Or have you used ChatGPT? We'll talk about that in a second, to ask that question yet. We're not trying to like shirk our responsibilities. What we're trying to do is help foster that ability. Okay, right? If I'm working on this on my own, what can I do to help figure this out? And the truth is, I use these things all the time myself. And so I'm trying to share with you how I go about this when I hit a snag, right? And I'm trying to figure things out. So these are some examples, some websites that you can use. YouTube, you obviously know, but some more specific ones that sometimes have really good stuff. Stack Overflow here is my favorite when it comes to looking up questions. Just often the answers there are really good. Um, and there are a lot of users on there. And so you could even go there and ask questions yourself, and questions often get answered pretty quickly. Now this is just a kind of a random screenshot of a time when I was on there a while back. But this question had been asked, and in 2 minutes they had an answer. I mean, obviously, not all of them are getting answered that quickly, but most questions do seem to get answered. So historically, right, I really pushed those kind of things with my students in this class, but um, then AI started to develop and ChatGPT came out and other resources like that. I honestly, now when I'm searching for things online, trying to figure out how to do something, I use ChatGPT probably 97% of the time, maybe 95%. So pretty much all the time because it is really good at coding. So when you go to use ChatGPT, though, asking better questions will give you better answers. Um, it's not like you could just go to ChatGPT and have it teach you everything you need to know in this class. You needed the background information that you're going to get from the videos and from what we're going to do on our exercises in class to be able to go to ChatGPT and know how to ask good questions, right? So you need to bring knowledge to ChatGPT. But even then, sometimes ChatGPT doesn't give good answers. I definitely run into that. So it's really important to ask up follow-up questions. Say, okay, is there another way to do this? Or a great question to ask is, can you teach me how that code works? Let's pull up an example here. right. So here's ChatGPT. One of the first things we're going to do is import data. How do I import an XLSX file into R? All right, so I love this too. You can like copy code right there. You can just click that button and then you can paste that into your script. It's gonna walk you kind of step through step how to do this. Let's say I don't like what it did. I could say, can you teach me another way? Can you teach me another way? Sure, here's another package. And you could probably, right, say that again. Can you teach me another way? I don't understand the code. Can you walk me through it? And it's largely going to do what it's already done, but maybe just, a little bit more detail. So don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions. And if it's not giving you quite the answer right you're looking for, maybe it's because you need to work on asking that question better. How do you learn to ask questions better? Just try something else. Ask us in class, how would you ask this question? Right, and just trial and error often is the best way. So ChatGPT is going to be a great tool in this class, and we'll definitely encourage you to use it regularly, if not all the time. Having said that, ChatGPT is not perfect by any means. Certainly when it comes to other areas, it has major limitations. But it even does when it comes to coding, even though it's really good at it. Uh, so sometimes it's going to give you bad code. So you always want to make sure that it works. This is where you have to have enough knowledge yourself to be able to actually use ChatGPT effectively, is you need to know what you're trying to get it to do so that when you run that code, you know if it worked or not. ChatGPT is not good at kind of bigger picture things. So one of the things I wondered, I was like, okay, if I'm going to encourage all the students to use ChatGPT, is it going to be able to do their homework for them? Well, it turns out that tends to be more complex than it can handle. Homeworks will be giving you a data set, right, and asking you to answer certain questions or do different things. I ran a bunch of the homework or learning assignments through ChatGPT, and it only got one question right out of a bunch of them. And I think it's because it was just too complex, too many moving pieces, essentially, to put it all together. It's very good when you say, how do I do this step? How do I do this type of code? Or how do I get, recode this thing or merge data sets? It's very good when you give it specifics. But when you give it these really big questions that we're often trying to answer, it completely falls apart. So on January 23rd, we're going to have what's called the Learn Something, Share Something in class. And what I need you all to go do, and this is to help reinforce this idea of just going and using the internet to learn something, is I want you to go learn how to do something in R. It can be anything. It can be useful, it can be silly, it can be funny, and then come prepared on the 23rd to share that with the class. Make sure you look at the instructions on Learning Suite for a few more specifics. But you could just go to Google, you could go to YouTube, you could go to ChatGPT, and just learn how to do something. People have done all sorts of random things. We've had people learn how to take an image, and R will, you can use a package to have it create like a Lego mosaic. So it tells you what pieces you need and what colors and how to put it together. You can have R code music. You can have it give you silly quotes. It can text people. It can download the entire text of Harry Potter and do a content analysis. You can have it, and those are much more complex things, but you can learn how to do simpler things too. You just have to learn how to do something. And then on the 23rd, a bunch of you will share those in class, and we'll see what you learned. Okay, looking forward to it, and we'll see you soon.